Hello everyone, today I'm here to discuss and kind of introduce my initial reaction to a book that I read recently, which is Art as Therapy by Alain de Botton and John Armstrong. This book is a nonfiction book that talks about reevaluating the place that art has in our society and the role of museums and art collectors and what art can do as something that can help us in life. So this book begins by discussing 7 psychological frailties that we have that art might help us with. So those are remembering, hope, sorrow, rebalancing, self-understanding, growth, and appreciation. And that these psychological frailties that we have are partnered with different kinds of purposes that art has. The author writes later on that the point of museums, so places where art is on display and the places where most people are most often in contact with art, should not primarily be to teach us how to love art, but to inspire us to love what artists have loved through the appreciation of their work. What these two authors propose is that art can function as a kind of therapy or a kind of way to assess our lives and fix certain elements. So when the author was talking about museums, I started thinking about libraries and my own personal library and the books that I collect and I hold dear to myself, and how books and literature and writing as an art can function in the same way, maybe. So I've decided to create a kind of tag, discussion, reaction, conversation with this idea by creating what most simply would be defined as a book tag. So there are 7 questions which align with the 7 psychological frailties that we have and the 7 purposes of art from Botton's perspective, and kind of going through what I would put in my own book museum or library if this was how I was going to look at art and books as art. I think this was a really interesting practice. It made me go through all of the books that I've read and think about what role they played in my life when I was reading them and what memories I have attached to them and the different things that reading can mean to me. Reading is one of my favorite pastimes. It's something that I enjoy doing. And so while I'm not completely adopting Alain de Botton's ideas of art being a therapy primarily, I'm kind of stepping into that perspective and seeing what it might be like if I created a little collection of therapy books that are not therapy books. So I'm going to create 7 videos following this one that will answer the questions that I've set up for myself as a tag. Those questions that I'll be answering kind of fall into grouping books into these categories. Books that help us remember what's important, books that help make life beautiful and help us acknowledge beauty in life, books that introduce us and teach us to understand and cope with sorrow, books that help balance us mentally, books that help us understand ourselves, books that introduce us to things that are outside our own lives, and books that honor the ordinary. I have different ways of interpreting these questions, which I'll go through in my videos that follow this one, and I would highly encourage anyone who's read this book to do something similar, or anyone who hasn't read this book but thinks that this is interesting to do the same. So yeah, I hope you will keep a lookout for these videos. They'll be coming up pretty regularly, and I look forward to seeing you in another video.